How would you like a 15% discount to my daily email, the stack of stuff, the show notes, discounts to the conference, all of that? All you need to do is text the word show to 33777. You'll get the annual subscription with a 15% discount to my daily email. You'll get the stack of stuff, the links to the show notes, discounts to the conference, and so much more. All you have to do is text the word show, SHOW, to 33777. Text show to 33777.
Welcome to the Eric Erickson Show podcast, Hour 1.
Hello, America. Welcome. It is Eric Erickson here across the United States. The phone number is 877-973-7425. Should you wish to be on the program, would be delighted to have you. If you text Eric, E-R-I-C-K, to 33777, you can get the live stream, the show notes, the podcast, everything you need. Friends, I've got to begin the show exactly where I began the show yesterday, and I will try not to be repetitive. This whole thing just blows my mind. The United States men's hockey team will appear tonight at the State of the Union. Donald Trump made a joke yesterday that was very clearly a joke, that if the boys came, they'd have to bring their sisters, meaning the women's hockey team. The women's hockey team declined to go to the State of the Union. They explained that they had a pre-existing commitment they could not get out of, and then their schedules tomorrow, both academically for some and professionally for others, precluded their ability to be there tonight and travel. But they thanked the president very much for the invitation and the Congress, and congratulated the men's team. The men's team is going. The men's team went to Miami, Florida yesterday. They were supposed to fly into New York. They couldn't because of the blizzard, so they rerouted to Miami. Showed up at a nightclub last night in Miami, got extremely intoxicated with the fans, and sang the American national anthem. Here, my friends, is Jack Hughes of Team USA.
But the best part is for, like I was saying this, the day of the gold medal, it's for all the guys that have come before us, and, you know, all the young kids that are going to come after us. So just like, you know, when I was a kid, I was growing up dreaming of being where I'm at now. And in 10 years, there's going to be another Austin Matthews. There's going to be another Matthew Tkachuk and another Quinn Hughes. So that's why we play, and we want to, you know, leave USA Hockey in a better place than it was when we first got there.
He's proudly American. He wrapped himself in the American flag. He's Jewish. Some people got mad that a Jew scored the goal for the United States, but I'll tell you who's really mad. The sports writers across America, Sally Jenkins, who was an apologist, it seems, back in her day at the Washington Post for some of the abuse inflicted on the U.S. women's gymnastics team, is now trying to champion women's sports and attack the men's sports. She attacked hockey by comparing its TV ratings to the WNBA, and she got the ratings wrong, actually, and she ignored the revenue, among other things. You have sports writers across America, from The Athletic to the Atlantic to USA Today to feminists and progressives around the country, decrying the fact that Team USA would go to the State of the Union or hang out with the President of the United States. For perspective, in 1980, the U.S. men's hockey team hung out with Jimmy Carter at the White House after beating the Soviets. No Republicans complained. In fact, Republicans wanted to go hang out with them as well. But because Donald Trump is president and not Kamala Harris, the Democrats are opposed to men's hockey hanging out. What you need to understand about the American left, of whom many are members of the press and the Democratic Party, is they are only patriotic and only love the United States when they are in charge of it. It's about power for them. They are not patriots when Republicans are in power. You don't have to believe me on this. You can look at the Gallup polling that goes back 40 years on this. Whenever a Republican is president, the Republicans remain patriotic and Democratic patriotism collapses. When a Democrat becomes president, Democratic patriotism rises and Republican patriotism still stays around 90%. Democrats are transactional patriots. They only love the country if they can control it. They hate the country when they can't control it. And how dare you celebrate the greatness of this country and its hockey team with the President of the United States when he is not one of them? That's what's happening here. It is amazing to watch sports writers across the United States attack men's hockey. This is why no one trusts the press anymore. Let me give you a sample of this from one person in particular, little drama queen that he is, Don Lemon.
I don't understand why anyone would want to be in the vicinity of this president at all. Just being honest. If they called on the phone call, I would say no thanks. Do you want to take the call? No. Tell him to call someone else. I'm not interested in being part of this. I'm not interested in being part of this when he is not a patriot and he doesn't care about this country. He doesn't care about the people of this country. He certainly doesn't.
Don, if the president of the United States called you and asked you to show up at the State of the Union or the White House to interview him, you would be the first one there. You know it and I know it. You're a drama queen and a liar. And you are dividing the country, not the president of the United States. They're upset that Kash Patel hung out with the U.S. men's hockey team and chugged a beer with them. If it were a Democrat, they would be wanting to run that person for president of the United States. But it was a Republican. It was Kash Patel. How dare he? What a discredit to the FBI, they say. No, he's an American citizen who enjoyed a moment with the U.S. men's hockey team. The fact that the left sees the hockey win in political terms is a damning indictment on the worldview of the American left. They see everything through the lens of politics. Think of the outrage. Just think of the outrage. If the U.S. men's hockey team went and participated in a Ramadan celebration at a mosque in the United States, Christians in the United States would probably be upset about it, and many of them would say so. If the U.S. men's hockey team went and celebrated Ramadan at a mosque, a lot of American Christians would be upset about it. That the left is reacting in the same way you could imagine Christians would if the hockey team went to a Ramadan celebration at a mosque shows you how religious they treat politics. Religion and politics are the same for the left. They worship themselves through their power in government. And because they are out of charge and out of power, they hate it right now, and they want you to hate it because they want you to be on their team. They hate that normal Americans would cheer on a hockey team. They hate that normal Americans would see nothing wrong with a hockey team being celebrated in bipartisan fashion by the United States Congress tonight at the State of the Union. They hate that Donald Trump is president, and therefore they must hate anything that Donald Trump gets joy in. They must hate anything that brings Republicans excitement. They must hate anything that is pro-America, because to be pro-America these days is to be pro-Donald Trump, and you can't be pro-Donald Trump. Therefore, you cannot be pro-America in the minds of the political left. These people have rotted their brains. Normal Americans don't care. Normal Americans, they're totally fine with celebrating Team USA. Normal Americans are not going to watch the State of the Union. Normal Americans have lives. And those lives do not involve listening to a presidential speech that's going to be forgotten about by Friday. Normal Americans don't get worked up about these things. But the affluent white female urban liberals who write for The Atlantic, the affluent white male urban liberals who write for USA Today and The Athletic, they're all upset about it. You really should consider why they're mad. If you're on the left, you have a hard time understanding the right. The right is far better at understanding the left in this country than the left is, because the right is more likely to know progressives than progressives are to know conservatives. The left doesn't understand the right because the left cloisters itself off into coastal enclaves in big cities where they don't have to meet people who disagree with them, who aren't like them. They can shun their family at Christmas and shame their family at Thanksgiving. If they disagree with them, they will disown friends and family for disagreeing with them. I saw a woman yesterday who is upset about Team USA going to the State of the Union address. She's a political writer. And someone replied to this person and said, "You disowned me as a friend when I was mugged by a homeless man and wrote about the traumatic experience because you said that my being assaulted by a homeless man and raising the awareness about it damaged people's views of the homeless. Think about that. A woman who is upset with Team USA going to the State of the Union disowned a friend who was mugged by a homeless man and disowned the friend for having the audacity to tell people she was mugged by a homeless man, thereby creating a bad stereotype for homeless people. These people are not mentally sane. These are not healthy people. These are not people that you want to have company with. You don't want to have a beer with them. You don't want to enjoy their company because they're angry and they're miserable all the time. It's got to be exhausting to be that angry all the time. It truly, and you only find humor in being cruel to your political opponents. Your cruelty is your humor, and you are angry that people don't share your obsessiveness with politics. That's the American left right now. It's got to be exhausting, too. And they want to exhaust you and me as well. That's part of the strategy here. They wish to exhaust us from being proudly American. They want to shame us and exhaust us so that we give up on it because they can't be happy as long as you're happy. They are miserable knowing you don't care. They are miserable knowing you are going to go along with your life. Tonight, many Americans will watch the President of the United States deliver his first real State of the Union address since being reelected President of the United States. Most Americans won't watch it. They'll watch other things. Most Americans, by Saturday, including those who watch it, will have forgotten about it. But what they will remember is the crowd cheering for the American men's hockey team, who have beaten their Canadian arch rivals. And they will remember the insanity of the left upset at us cheering. They will remember the insanity of the left for rooting for Canada because this is Trump's America. They will remember, again, why they dislike the left. And therein lies the problem for the left. They may rebound in November with the midterm elections. They just might. They're probably going to have a good midterms. The president doubling down on tariffs probably going to help the left rebound. And they will think, see, we are affirmed now. We can love the country again because we're headed back into power. And they'll get rejected in 2028 in large part because they don't like the country. They don't like the people of the country. They don't like cheering for the country. They think the country is bad. Normal Americans love the United States of America, recognize we are still the last best hope for mankind. Donald Trump is a fleeting politician who will be gone in a few years, and who is in charge of the White House should not define your love of the country. Normal Americans do not care who's in power as to whether or not they love the country, but the political left and the Democratic Party does. They only love the country if they are in charge of it. And for the next 48, 72 hours, we're going to be reminded of how much they hate the country right now. And that will leave a bad taste in people's mouths. It'll leave people with a bad feeling. And it will further discredit the media that continues to amplify the voices of sports writers, pundits, and others who are upset that you would cheer on Team USA. Team USA is awesome. They should be celebrated. The Congress of the United States intends to celebrate them tonight in Washington, D.C. I will be watching for you so you can go live your life, and I'll give you the recap tomorrow. It's just wild to see the hatred of a group of people who only hate because they're not in power. And that says everything about them. Question. Have y'all heard about the problems with the USS Gerald R. Ford? The ship apparently is having plumbing issues. The Wall Street Journal and others have reported the USS Gerald Ford, the Navy's largest and bleeding-edge aircraft carrier, doesn't have enough toilets. What they're not reporting is one of the reasons Gerald Ford doesn't have enough toilets is because they gave up on urinals because they wanted co-ed aircraft carriers, and I'm not making that up. It's true. and they're having vacuum system problems with the toilets, and they don't work, and you can have a 45-minute queue. I read this story, and I thought, you're literally in the ocean with no coastline to be seen on the horizon. Why are you not just sticking your butt off the railings and pooping into the ocean? Why are you not men standing there and peeing into the wind? Why? Why are you even using toilets? You don't need a toilet. You can go if you're a guy. Oh, that's right. We decided to put a bunch of women on the aircraft carriers. Well, so let them use the toilets if they don't want to hang off the side. But really, the idea that, I'm sorry, we can't bomb Iran because men need to sit down to pee is a little bit too far-fetched for me. If our soldiers and sailors now must squat to pee, we're already lost. Mamas, don't let your babies grow up to be men who squat to pee is basically the moral of the story here. And the fact that we would have a big expose on, oh my gosh, the plumbing on the ship at sea where no one can see you hang your butt off the side to use the bathroom is going to delay the war. No, it's not. In fact, the Navy has now released a statement saying that the plumbing problems on the ship will have nothing to do with the readiness of the American military to launch a war. But also, side note, moral of the story here is trying to do gender equity on ships is a bad idea. Getting rid of the urinals on the ships so that we can accommodate the women. And also the other thing is, if you must know, multiple shipbuilders and longtime ranking admirals and others from the Navy have come forward and said every ship ever built had plumbing problems. If you're not just going to cut a hole in the side and let them go off the side, you're going to have problems because it's a basic physics problem when you're a rocking ship at sea. It's not that big of a deal. Except in the American Press Corps. Just again, you're at sea. Who's going to care if you pee off the side of the boat? Nobody, except the American Press Corps and Greta Thunberg. Old Glory Bank would love to have you as a customer of theirs. I'm a customer. I've got a checking account and savings account with them. You can go to oldglorybank.com/Eric today. Listen, if you are active duty military, so I've got the basic accounts. I got a checking account and a savings account. Get fine interest on the savings account, but you can get the premium accounts. At Old Glory Bank, the premium accounts come with fees, but if you're active duty military, they'll waive the fees on your interest-bearing checking account. They're a great bank for business checking, for home loans, for CDs, full-service bank. Now, they're an online bank, but they've made it possible to even deposit cash at oldglorybank.com. Oldglorybank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, terms and conditions apply. It really is my bank. You can go do business with them today. Check them out. Full-service bank headquartered in Oklahoma City, but online everywhere. You can get a custodial account for your kids. And if you're a business, they're very hands-on learning about your business. So when the day comes for business lending, they know you and you know them, and you can have a great relationship. oldglorybank.com/Eric, ERICK. Greetings, conversationalists. It is Eric Erickson here, and the phone number 877-973-7425. I will be broadcasting from Naples, Florida for the rest of the week. I leave this afternoon. I've got meetings of the vast right-wing conspiracy happening down there, and so I will be down there, be doing the show live every day this week, but they've arranged my speaking sessions off the show. Let's go to the phones. Josh in Dayton, Ohio, you're going to be up next. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Good. You, sir?
I'm well.
I picked up when you said that the left seems to be a transactional. It kind of reminded me of, again, this is generalization, so it's not 100% one way or the other. But if you think about it, conservatives seem to be, and the right seem to be more logical. The left and progressives seem to be a little more emotional. And that kind of ties it, for me, into the masculine and feminine energy. And it seems to, at least my observation is, more women and men that are a little more feminine seem to be on the left, and vice versa for men and women that have to be a little more masculine in their energy and on the right. So to me, it was one of those that Sometimes you hear that love from women is transactional. It's like, what can you do for me, kind of thing, versus men that are kind of secure in their.
There's
their
some women
energy.
out there very mad at us
straightforward.
right now, Josh. But
I love women. Don't get me wrong. I love women, but it's one of those. It kind of means it's a little more logical when you think of it from a logic standpoint.
There actually, there is some data out there that shows that people with higher testosterone levels tend to be quote unquote right coded. People who go to the gym and work out more. Just a couple of years ago, remember MSNBC did a story on how people who go to the gym tend to be conservatives because they tend to be more toxically masculine. And there is on the left, emotion trumps logic. On the right, logic tends to trump emotion. There's this branch of the new right that is very postmodern emotional, and a lot of their arguments are very similar to the left. It's all about who's in control, and you get joy through power. But your argument is right. People may be offended by you, Josh. But you're absolutely right. The left tends to be much more emotional. And if you talk to Hollywood actors who are openly progressive, many of them will eventually get to the point of making that they are because they are governed by their passions and their emotions, and they care passionately for certain things. And that's why they're on the left. And it is a passion, not a logic or reason argument. But ironically, I think the old saying tends to be true that we are all most conservative, even progressives, about which we know best. David in Jacksonville, Florida, you're up next. Welcome.
Yeah,
hey,
I'm actually I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep, sure can.
Yeah, I was actually just wanting to make a statement and kind of see how you feel and maybe how some of your listeners feel too about everyone's talking about the Democrats as far as like what they're going to do and because of the State of the Union address tonight. But I identify as a Republican, even though I'm more of an independent in my viewpoints, but still on the conservative side. But I kind of feel like as a constituent that I'm being pulled in a totally different direction than I want to go. And if I feel that way, I can only imagine, the Democrats too. I mean, being pulled totally far left. I mean, look at Senator Fetterman. I mean, he's 1 out of 100. That kind of feels like, what happened to the Kennedy-style Democrats. But I just kind of feel like that they're all, I guess, bowing to their donors, and they're trying to push, policy that's not benefiting America. And then even though I don't agree with everything Trump does, he's kind of just stuck in the middle, and he's forced to try to force things, and I guess that's where we're at with him trying to make America great again with these tariffs. And then you have some conservative judges, siding with liberal judges.
Yeah, there's a point to be had here in that, a lot of people, I think, on both sides of the aisle feel kind of held hostage right now by their parties, that they don't necessarily agree with everything Trump does, or they don't necessarily agree with everything the Democrats do, and they just feel kind of stuck. Some people feel helpless with no party anymore, wondering what the heck is going on here. And I think the largest problem we have in the country right now in terms of politics on this particular issue is the lack of grace on both sides. I get hate mail on a regular basis from people who are Trump supporters that I criticize him. I shouldn't criticize him if I'm a supporter, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's never been my style. And I get a lot of hate mail from people who, when I say nice things about the president, they get mad at me for doing that. I'm like, there's no winning. And I don't particularly set out to win. It's not a thing that I particularly I'm not here to win the argument. I'm just here to tell you what I think about stuff. And yet people, if I praise the president, I get attacked. If I criticize the president, I get attacked. And by the way, it doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm not actually fat. I got the skin of a manatee. That's what's going on here. I got thick skin. But people want you to be on their side. And in wanting you to be on their side, you either got to align with them or not, and there's no room for compromise. There's no room for nuanced discussion anymore, and I think that drives most normal Americans crazy. Now, tonight's going to drive some Americans crazy because the President of the United States is going to take to Washington, D.C., to the United States States House of Representatives to have his State of the Union speech. I want to say this out of the gate. As a broadcast professional who actually started on the internet, moved to TV, and now in radio, I have covered many states of the Union. They are all worthless speeches. We cover them because they are newsmaker events, and by Friday they will be forgotten. I personally think that presidents should stop giving States of the Union addresses, except it's a freebie moment on television where everyone watches and the media covers it live, so you take advantage of it. Broadcast networks are pretty much required for the public good to cover the States of the Union. The news networks do as well, but they're worthless speeches. And I don't say that as a critic of the president or a fan of the president. I said it when Barack Obama was president. I said it when Biden was president. I say it when Trump was president. And I say it now when Trump was president again. They are pretty worthless speeches. Going back to Bill Clinton, they're worthless speeches. They are laundry lists by presidents who exercise little discipline over the contents of their speeches. We used to have great Peggy Noonan written and Peter Robinson written speeches by Ronald Reagan and George H.W. Bush. Even some of the Democratic speeches back in the day, Jimmy Carter would give a great State of the Union address, and then they just became laundry lists of, here are all the things I want to do that Congress is never going to pass, and move on. And America forgets them. They're wastes of everyone's time, which is why more and more Americans don't even pay attention to them. But we will cover the speech because it is a newsmaker event. Tomorrow, I will take your reaction, your phone calls to the speech. I'll tell you what I think about the speech. But I can tell you right now, it's not going to be a fantastic speech. It's going to be a laundry list of stuff. The president's supporters will love it. The president's critics will deride it. Everyone will interpret it the way they want to interpret it. There will be no room for anyone to have a nuanced opinion. You'll get yelled at if you do. And by Friday, we'll move on to a tweet by the president that changes everything. What do I expect of the President of the United States tonight? Very straightforward and simple. It's the economy stupid. Tonight in Washington, D.C., the president will explain just how bad it was when he got there and what he's done to make everyone's life better and what, if you continue to support the Republicans, he and they will do to continue to improve your life. There will be moments where he is undisciplined and goes off script. I suspect if John Roberts is there, it might be a triggering event for the president, and he will attack the Supreme Court on the tariff decision. It would be interesting to see. I don't know that he'll do it, but odds are he can't help himself. There will be moments of national unity where we cheer Team USA. And then there will be absurd moments. Ro Khanna, the progressive congressman from California, he outed those 4 men on the floor of the House who were in the Epstein files, and it turns out they were all innocent. One of them, it cost him his job. He just happened to be in a police lineup. No relation to Epstein. His name was just in the file, and it cost him his job, cost him friends. Roe is bringing an Epstein survivor with him to the State of the Union tonight. Turns out the Epstein survivor he's bringing was a trafficker for Jeffrey Epstein. She now claims that she was a victim and was groomed by Jeffrey Epstein, but the actual record showed that she developed a friendship and became embroiled in the Ghislaine Maxwell Jeffrey Epstein scandal and began trafficking underage women to Jeffrey Epstein. And that is who this man decided to bring to the United States House of Representatives to the State of the Union address. Not a single member of the media is going to call him out for the impropriety of it because the media thinks, he's going to try to own Donald Trump. The media does not care about the solemnity of the event because they think Trump doesn't, and so they will behave as they think the president behaves, whether he does or not. Let's see. I got an email from Melania Trump a little while ago. Where is this? I'm on the press list. Here we go. Serena Burns, a participant in the Melania Trump Foster Youth to Independence program, and Everest Nevermont, a 10-year-old Alpha School student, AI advocate, and TEDx speaker will join First Lady Melania Trump in the First Lady's box for the 2026 State of the Union. Together, they represent the spirit of Mrs. Trump's Be Best fostering the future initiative, advancing opportunity, and empowering young Americans through technology and education. So that's who Melania Trump is going to bring. The president's bringing Team USA. He's got the best guest. Let's just be honest. He's the president. The question is 90 minutes over or under. Scott Inez, the morning host on WDBO down in Orlando, was talking to me this morning about this, and he said, what's the over-under on 90 minutes? I said, over, because there's going to be so much applause to Team USA. It's going to take a while for the House to settle down, and you know how the Republicans are these days. Donald Trump will say, thank you, ladies and gentlemen, cheer. I appreciate being here, cheer. Tonight I'll talk about cheer. What I want to do for the future, cheer. And that includes reconciliation, cheer, and other things, cheer, to bring down costs, cheer, for housing, cheer, for Americans, cheer, for pharmaceutical costs, cheer. I mean, that's all they're going to do is they're going to cheer every participle of every sentence because it's the nerd pep rally of the year. The Democrats, Hakeem Jeffries has asked them to show up and do nothing, to sit there. And then after it's all over, we got to watch the Democratic response. Is it Spanberger who's delivering it? The wackadoo Virginia governor who claimed to be moderate and went in and is governing as a progressive, raising taxes and everything else. That's the Democratic face. It'll be an immemorable speech that the Democrats will be orgasmic over because she'll take on Donald Trump, but the speech will be even less remembered than the State of the Union address. The only State of the Union response anybody remembers is Marco Rubio's because he took a sip of water. And do I sound aggravated? Because I kind of am. I just find this dog and pony show every year kind of ridiculous at this point. The speeches are meaningless. Last year, Donald Trump gave a speech. It wasn't the State of the Union address, technically. It was a joint meeting of Congress. This is a joint session. He got invited to speak, but it's technically not the State of the Union address because he had just gotten elected and given his inaugural. But he still gave a laundry list of things he wanted done. Very few of them got done. And the year before that, Joe Biden did the same. Very little got done. It's just the pattern plays out. And both sides get in their corner. The Republicans cheer, the Democrats boo. The situation gets reversed. The Democrats cheer, Republicans boo. And then we rinse, repeat all year long. And you have to be on TV and radio and make exciting statements about, well, big and important it was. When the reality is, by Friday, something's going to happen on the world stage or Donald Trump is going to tweet. And the world will move on to something else. It's the nature of the beast. And yet, we all do it because it's newsy. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is Eric Erickson here. The phone number, 877-973-7425. This hour of the program is brought to you by Van Allen Golf, maker of fine golf equipment. I use their putter. It's got a ceramic shaft. It's got a bronze faceplate. The weight, it is perfect. You can change the grip out however you want it. You can get the carbon steel if you want a lighter. I wanted the heavier putter. I've got the blade. They're making a mallet. You should go to vanallengolf.com, ALLEN, vanallengolf.com, or text golf to 33777. Check out Van Allen Golf. If you or someone you love is into golf, they are going to want the putter. They really are. I have become a believer in the high-tech putters because the Van Allen Golf putter is amazing. vanallengolf.com. All right. I want to, just so you know, I've been experimenting with AI agents, and I have settled on Claude, which I think is the bleeding edge. It has well surpassed ChatGPT, among others. It is, for example, last night, to give you an example of Claude AI, I integrated it into my computer, and last night I said, Claude, I have hundreds of pictures that I have licensed over the years from the Associated Press. Will you put them all in a folder for me? And it did it. And then I said, what about these? And it did it. And then it organized my screenshots, and it made life useful. And it went through my emails last night. What are the emails that you think are a high priority that I missed? And it was incredible stuff. It's not replacing my assistant, but it's making me more productive in what I do. And it got me thinking, remember IBM Watson? For years, there were all this promo about Watson. Watson went on Jeopardy and beat people, and IBM poured all their money into Watson. And whatever happened to Watson? I actually asked Claude what happened to Watson last night, and he was very, very diplomatic, saying, well, IBM went in a path that was not large language model. They thought it was the future, and actually the future sped up and surpassed where IBM was. And think of all the money IBM poured into Watson over the years and the branding campaign for Watson, and it just all kind of seems like it was for nothing. The other AIs are surpassed. The ability of Claude now to take in, for example, medical records and give you advice, or take in a legal document. I've got mine set up so before I go to my lawyer now, I was a lawyer, so I pour in my PDFs of contracts into Claude and have it raise the red flags first, so that then it can compose an email for me to send to my lawyer saying this is what Claude recommended you look at, and it's been remarkable. But it still makes mistakes. And we've got the market has tanked over concerns about AI displacement. And I think the bigger concern is now that AI displaces people and then makes a lot of mistakes that don't get caught until the audit. Because if you don't have people there paying attention, you can run into all sorts of problems. I'm kind of actually amazed by the error rate, and Claude is far better than the last time I used ChatGPT, which itself continues to get better, but they still make mistakes, and you got to go back and check them. And I think what's going to happen is companies are going to lay off their white-collar workers, replace them with AI. AI is going to start making mistakes, and then the IRS audit comes up, and, well, the company is toast. You can kind of see it happening, but at least they went with Claude instead of Watson, I guess, at these companies. What a branding mistake by IBM, among other things. All right, I got to move on. And before I go to anything else, I got to tell you about Eden Pure and the Thunderstorm 3-pack. You can get the Thunderstorm Air Purifier. It destroys stubborn odors at the source, and it's not a cover-up like candles or sprays. It uses 2 advanced technologies to kill 99.9% of bacteria and viruses, removes dust, pet dander, smoke, eliminates any odor, no costly filters to replace, no stinky smells from litter boxes, trash cans, cigarette smoke, dirty diapers, stinky shoes, musty basements. If it can't get rid of the odor, send it back within 30 days for a full refund. With Eden Pure's tough odor guarantee, there's absolutely no risk in trying it. Right now, you can save $200 on an Eden Pure Thunderstorm 3-pack for the whole house, basement, bedroom, family room, kitchen, anywhere you need it. Go to EdenPureDeals.com, put in the discount code ERIC3. Save $200 on 3 Eden Pure Thunderstorms, EdenPureDeals.com, the discount code ERIC3, ERICK3.